Did you know that some of today's youngest millionaires are building businesses with artificial intelligence instead of traditional offices? Yes, AI is no longer just changing technology. It is changing how people work, how people learn, how people invest and make money. But while some people are getting richer because of AI, many others are worried about losing their jobs. So, will AI create more millionaires or will it leave millions behind? And that's our conversation today on Techhub. My name is Victor Ake. Before we dive into the conversation, let's give you the tech news update. The Nigerian Communications Commission is planning to introduce free internet for students to access approved educational websites and online learning platforms across Nigeria. The idea is still at the public consultation stage, meaning that the NCC is asking Nigerians and industry stakeholders to share their opinions before the program begins. Now, if approved, students will be able to study online without paying for data or selected educational platforms. Social media, entertainment websites, and streaming services will not be included on this particular service. Well, the goal is to make learning more affordable and improve access to digital education across the country. Now, imagine streaming movies, joining Zoom meetings, or even sending large files while flying over 40,000 feet in the air. And that is becoming a reality with Starlink. Recent in-flight tests have recorded internet download speeds of up to 255 megabits per second on aircraft using Starlink satellite internet. Now, instead of using older satellite technology, Starlink connects planes to thousands of low Earth orbit satellites, giving passengers faster and more reliable internet from takeoff to landing. And several airlines have already started offering this service. Meanwhile, Microsoft has announced a new company called Microsoft Frontier Company, backed by $2.5 billion to help businesses adopt artificial intelligence more successfully. Now, the new company will work directly with organizations to choose the right AI tools, train employees, and build AI systems that solve real business problems. Microsoft says many companies want to use AI but don't know where to start. And this new initiative is designed to help businesses get better results from their AI investment. And finally, on the tech news update, OpenAI says artificial intelligence is moving beyond answering questions and is becoming a digital assistant that can complete real tasks. AI agents can now help users research information, organize projects, write reports, analyze data, and complete multi-step tasks with less human effort. Experts believe that this is the next stage of AI, where technology doesn't just respond to commands, but also helps people become more productive at work and in their various businesses. And these two updates are the most important things that we need to know, of course, when it comes to the tech news update today. Now let's go on a break. When we'll come back, we'll dive straight into the conversation today. Welcome back. Now, artificial intelligence is changing everything from healthcare and banking to farming, education, business, and entertainment. And some people are building companies and creating wealth with AI. Others fear automation could replace millions of jobs. But the big question is, will artificial intelligence create millionaires or leave millions behind? To help us understand this, we are joined by someone who works at the Center of Robotics and AI Innovation. And joining us is Ikechukwu Obi-Okoye, a robotics engineer and the founder of OmniPanda. He has worked with one of the world's leading robotics companies and is also building solutions that combine technology, innovation, and investment. Hi, Ikechukwu. It's great to have you on the conversation today.
Thank you. Yes.
Now let's dive into the conversation. You have worked with one of the world's leading robotics companies while also building your own business. First, how has that that exposure, how has it shaped the way you think about innovation?
Of course, yes. From my experience, innovation can come in different shapes, forms, and sizes. And I think individuals just have to be, we have to want to innovate, and we have to be open to, witnessing innovation. I think innovation is a great thing. And with AI and the recent technologies that have been developed, you see a lot of new things coming around. But being exposed, it's been great, and working with these companies, it's been great.
Awesome. Now, when people hear artificial intelligence, one of the first things that comes to mind is chatbots. Now, from your experience as well, what do people still misunderstand about AI?
Of course, yes. I think, like you said, a lot of people think chatbots, it's been, ChatGPT and Claude, but there's a lot of other applications for AI that don't necessarily fall on the user interaction side. You think of technologies that we use every day, like Gmail, our Netflix recommending movies, your Google Maps.
Right.
I think those are all little implementations of AI that is aside from chatbots. You think of robotics. It's a very wide and diverse field. Yeah.
Do you think that we are at the beginning of another internet moment right now, or is it just right?
Of course.
Go ahead.
I 100% agree. This, from what I've read, I wasn't alive then. I was just born, but yeah, from what I've read on the internet era, the new technologies that it brought about, email. Back then people didn't have email. Today everybody has emails. The Googles and the Microsofts of that era. I think AI is the same. It's very similar to where we have this new profound technology that we know is that we know has an impact, and that we know is bringing about new things. And right now people are still getting used to it, but I believe eventually it'll be very common for people to be interacting with this technology, to be familiar with this technology. So I do agree that there is a parallel with the current AI revolution and the internet back in the early 2000s.
All right. And of course, looking at what's happening around the world today, do you think that AI is creating more opportunities than it is taking away?
Of course, I think we're going to go through different stages. I think we have gone through a stage where you hear of companies laying off individuals because of now one worker can do what 3 workers could have done, for instance. But we also go through stages where companies are hiring back people because they believe current AI is not enough. Right. I think we're going to go through this flux. Everybody is going to, each company is going to figure out what works best for them. But I believe that the future is headed to a point where it's not fully AI, it's not fully humans, it's humans working together with AI. And that's why I think it's critical for people to learn how to use the tool. Because it's the people that know how to utilize it in their field. Those are the ones that will succeed, in my opinion. But I do think we're moving to a point to where it's like a mutual collaboration between AI and humans.
That cliche question whenever we talk about AI right now, a lot of persons still have that fear that AI will take away their jobs completely. You've talked about the integration anyways, co-working together, humans and of course the machines as it is. But that fear is still there, especially in this part of the world where many Nigerians are scared that with the advent, the invention or the introduction of AI, that their job is being threatened. What would you say to such a group of people?
My advice would be to get familiar and find your edge. Get familiar with the technology as much as you can, and to find your edge in your space, in your field. I think there definitely is an existential risk. I think this is something that AI is something we have not encountered before. And for a lot of people, I think it's easy to fear what you may not know, what you may not be familiar with. So my first advice would be to get familiar with how AI can impact your role. Like, what can you do with AI in your role? and to, find your edge. What is something that you can do? It can be very simple things. How can AI make you better? How can AI make you more efficient? Because it can. And there's, free resources out there that, on YouTube, on the internet, that can explain to you how this can happen. But my advice to them would be to, find their edge, get very, very familiar with it, and, try your best.
That's right. Try your best, you say. If you notice as well, the biggest fortunes in history have often come to people who embraced the new technology early. Of course, you made mention of that as well in the 2000s. What do you think as well that right now AI is creating that same opportunity today?
I agree. I think we've seen some fascinating products come out over the last few months, couple years, because of this technology.
Yeah.
In my field particularly, it's changed the way engineers work, software engineers work, robotics engineers work. It's definitely changed the way we've worked. And I know of other fields that it's changed the way as well, be it like administrative tasks, et cetera, et cetera. I think if you interact with digital tools in any way or form, AI does have an opportunity to bring about revolution into what you are doing.
Do you think as a country? All right, you wanted to drop a concluding thought there. Go ahead, anyways. Let's get to hear that.
Yeah, you can go on.
Okay, so do you think that Nigeria is ready for the AI-driven economy right now?
That is a good question. That is a good question. I think we do have an opportunity to apply it the most. I think there are a lot of problems that we can solve in our country with this technology, and we need to. There's a lot. Nigerians are very passionate. Nigerians are very hardworking. Nigerians are very skilled. I think we need to create an environment to encourage people to use the technology more, and to see how it can impact the problems that we are experiencing. I think with our creativity and the problems we have, we can come up with solutions that the world has never seen before. And I truly believe that we Nigerians can do it. But I do think that environment and that support, be it from the government, from the companies in our country, the institutions that were put in place to help support our country, I believe we do need their support as well. But as individuals, as citizens, as people in the country experiencing these problems, we can definitely come up with unique solutions with this technology.
Well, looking at some of the things that we've done as well, doing a quick comparison, between ourselves here in Nigeria and our neighboring country, Rwanda, because I hear a lot of young persons move down to Kigali, and especially from Nigeria. When you ask them what is happening over there in Kigali, and they'll say to you, "Man, I'm building my tech product in Kigali," because again, for them, that's that state or the town or the country, Rwanda, now has that enabling environment for them to thrive in tech. Now, what do you think we're getting wrong as a country, that is making most of our talents in the tech ecosystem leave the country to Rwanda and even other parts of the world?
Of course, and I believe you gave a hint to the answer.
Yeah,
it's the environment. I believe that if we have an environment where there are institutions, there's funding to support, there's motivation to the people to find solutions, to figure out solutions. If we're able to create that environment, I believe that Nigerians will stay and Nigerians will develop in Nigeria, as opposed to leaving to places with that sort of environment. And I also touched on, the government being responsible for at least supporting this environment as well. We the people have our responsibility, but also the government we both sort of have to work together,
of course,
to create this environment. Yes. Yeah, you totally hinted at the answer in that case.
Surely. Now let's talk about you a little bit more. You already have a successful career in robotics. And of course, then you moved on to creating something. What problem did you see that made you think that someone actually needed to build a better way to help people invest their money?
Of course, yes. I started off with OmniPanda to solve a problem I was experiencing. For instance, this was when I was first starting to get into investing, and it's a huge mass of information that you have to process to make a simple decision of buying or selling, you know, a stock. And initially, I started off with novel technologies before involving AI, and AI has made the experience a whole lot better. But for me, it was figuring out, okay, this is the problem I have, talking to some other people and figuring out, oh, this is the problem they have as well. And once you sort of make that connection, I think personal problems are always the ones that people can solve the best, because you are your first customer. You have a first-hand experience, and you know what solutions that can work for you that may work for others. So for me, it was getting into that field and wanting to solve a problem that I was experiencing, and which I found out other people were experiencing as well. Yes.
And of course, using your personal experience, you've now created a solution that, probably the world will be enjoying, anytime soon, as much as possible. Anyways, I'm sure a lot of persons are already using that platform. But again, if you had the opportunity to now advise the Nigerian government on AI, what would be your top 3 priorities?
Yes, that is a good question. On the government side, there are a few things the government is in a unique position, and probably the best position to support the people in. The first is funding, government-backed funding. We need to fund companies owned by the people that have the right goal, the right vision to help assist people, be it in vision of education, be it vision of creating technologies for Nigerians to use. So the funding is the first part. The second way the government can help is in the regulation of these companies, I think it's very easy for people to misuse this technology. And because it is a new technology, if I have a very terrible interaction with, if I'm an enthusiastic individual and I go online and I find a program that is supposed to help me, get familiar with AI, get familiar with my investing, and it turns out, they hurt me instead. I'm going to have a terrible experience with the technology, and then I will be one of the ones that will be against the technology, that will be very wary of the technology. I think the government is in a position to help prevent this. Not only should they fund the right companies, they should also have regulations in place to prevent or mitigate the misuse of this technology in the country. And the third way is to create an environment to where we reward good behavior. If somebody comes out and they do something great, have events, fund these events, these award events. And because what happens is, by awarding creativity, we also inspire others. Okay, there is actually something ahead of all this. So those are the 3 unique ways: funding, regulations, and reward. In mind. Yes.
Very beautiful. And again, what opportunities are young Nigerians overlooking rather in artificial intelligence? I mean, the opportunities that young Nigerians are overlooking currently in AI.
Of course, yes, that is also a very fantastic question. Young Nigerians, I say we because I'm also a young Nigerian as well. We are very smart.
Yeah, we are.
Individuals. We have ways of looking at technology, unique ways of looking at technology, unique ways of looking at problems. I believe there are Nigerians looking at the problems we are currently facing.
Right.
And looking at how this technology can help us. But I do also believe that there are a majority of Nigerians that are not yet as familiar with AI to the level to where they would need to be able to make an impact with the technology. And we need to start looking at it as something we can build with.
All right, this has been one of the issues that we've been always talking about. Anyways, talking about the poor network, which has affected many businesses as well. But we do hope that we can get to reconnect with you so we can get to get your concluding thoughts on the conversation. But of course, you're still watching Techhub right here on the Rapid Television. But let's quickly move on to the how-to segment. Welcome to the how to segment. How to start learning AI without spending money. You don't need to be a computer programmer to actually start learning artificial intelligence. Now, here are 4 simple steps. 1. Learn the basics of AI through free courses on platforms like Coursera, Google, Microsoft Learn, and LinkedIn Learning. 2. Start using AI tools like ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, and Google Gemini to improve your writing, your research, and your daily work. 3. Pick one skill, such as content creation, coding, data analysis, design, or marketing, and learn how AI can make you better at it. Keep practicing. The more you use AI, the more valuable your skills become. Remember, AI is not just for engineers. It is becoming a tool for everyone. Here's today's tech tip. Don't use artificial intelligence to replace your thinking. Use it to improve your thinking. Always check facts, review AI-generated content, and add your own ideas to it. Do not be the robot, all right? Be the one actually using it. The people who will benefit most from AI are those who combine technology with creativity, good judgment, and problem solving. Artificial intelligence is changing the future of work and business. Like every major technological revolution, it will create winners and losers. The difference may not be who has the best technology, but who is willing to learn, to adapt, and use it wisely. Once again, thanks to our guest Ikechukwu Obi-Okoye, a robotics engineer and founder of OmniPanda, for sharing his insight with us. My name is Victor Ake, and until next time, stay techy.